You only get one shot at this crucial decision of claiming Social Security. Today we're going to break down the biggest pros and cons of 62, 67, and 70, so take notes. First, the pros of 62. Every dollar that you receive from Social Security is a dollar that you don't need to take from somewhere else. So if you are retired, for example, and you are planning on taking money from a 401k or from an IRA to fund your lifestyle, every dollar you receive from Social Security is another dollar that not only you don't need from those accounts, but that also you can leave in those accounts to continue hopefully growing. If you have a pension that is, let's say, already covering all of your expenses, let's say it's $4,000 a month, if you take your Social Security benefit, part of that can be used to cover your expenses, and the additional portion that was going to be used from your pension can either go to traveling, investing, or wherever else you would like that money to go. Retirement projections have shown time and time again, if you are taking the money early and leaving additional money in accounts to continue growing, depending on the rate of return there, even if you end up getting less money from the Social Security system, if you do live a long life, it can still actually result in more money that you have in your total net worth that you can end up not only leaving behind, but also enjoying throughout retirement. Again, you have to run the numbers here, but it's very possible. Second is for family benefits and security. You trigger your eligibility for spousal and children's benefits. You can't do this until you claim your own. So a lot of the time, one of the reasons to delay Social Security is to have more money throughout your life, given your life expectancy. However, this can be incentive to file early so that they can file for these benefits as well. Number three, you get the money earlier for more years. So especially this can be a consideration if you have health concerns, life expectancy concerns, or you just want the money now to spend it how you'd like. Lastly, of course, if you do have no income or at least a low one, you could always claim it, and if you're confident in the returns that you could earn and potentially have that end up being more, again, you gotta run the numbers here. Now the drawbacks of 62. First and foremost, you have a permanent benefit reduction. It's gonna be 30% less than if you had claimed at your full retirement age. That's going to continue throughout retirement. Next, you're lowering the survivor benefits that your spouse would receive upon your death. Now with spousal benefits, if you claim at 62, the spouse can still claim 50% of your full retirement age benefit at her full retirement age, even though you claimed early. You don't really affect that other than that she has the opportunity to claim early. With the survivor benefit, however, if you take it at 62 and then you pass away, your spouse is going to receive 100% of that amount that you claimed at 62, not your full retirement age, the amount you claimed at 67. This is a big consideration. Again, you want to run the numbers and see not only how much they're going to have there, but what are the spouse's expenses likely to be when you aren't there? And is this amount that's going to be left behind to her, on top of everything else that you also have there, going to be able to cover her living expenses? If not, this could be a reason to delay. Next, the earnings limitation. So if you are continuing to work before full retirement age and take Social Security, for every $2 that you earn above that annual limit, which currently is just a little above $23,000, so very low, Social Security benefit is reduced by $1. Also, the cost of living adjustment is going to be started on the amount that you receive. Now you might think that's not a big deal because the cost of a living adjustment is going to continue over time, so it doesn't really matter when you take it. However, again, when you're using retirement software and plugging in the Social Security with the cost of living adjustment, you can see, based on what actual inflation typically is, that that cost of living adjustment does tend to actually lag behind that a little bit. So the earlier you take it, the worse this is going to affect you. Also, as many of us know, Social Security and Medicare are currently running into some solvency issues. Changes must be made. One of those changes, which would be about a 25% fix to the current solvency problem, is potentially lowering the cost of living adjustment by 0.3%. This would be a kind of sneaky way to actually cut benefits over time. It's just by lowering that cost of living adjustment. So already it's likely not actually keeping up, and it could get worse. Finally, of course, the most prominent is the longevity risk. So if you live into your mid-80s or beyond, you are taking that still same amount that you were receiving at 62 adjusted for inflation, as opposed to the much bigger amount that you would have had if you delayed. Now the pros of claiming at your full retirement age, which is generally 67. Of course, you receive 100% of that earned benefit. You aren't going to receive that 30% reduction if you had claimed earlier like you did at 62. If you're continuing to work, there is no earnings limitation. So you can continue to work and receive your Social Security while having it be the actual full amount, without having any sort of penalties that apply to you. Also, at this point, whether you claim now or at 70, the spousal benefit is based on 50% of your full retirement age, so delaying it doesn't increase the spousal benefit anymore. Regardless if you claimed at 62 or 70, it's still that 50% of the full retirement age, and they can claim early, but it's still not a reason to delay. And one of the main things here is a nice middle ground between claiming early all the way at 62, still getting a lot more, not getting that 30% reduction, but also not between delaying all the way to 70. Now, the disadvantages, first and foremost, you don't get the payments in those first 5 years. Just like you don't get those payments, you also don't get the increase, the 24% increase, if you had waited until 70. Those are really the main two things. Of course, there are some other things in terms of, since you're not receiving that money, you have to have other funds that are covering those expenses, whether it's through income or pulling from accounts. And if you delay, you would have a higher base to take that cost of living adjustment from. Same reason as before with 62. If you take it at 67, you're not getting the same rate that you would get at 70. Next, the pros at 70. The main one, of course, is you are now getting the highest possible benefit that you could. 77% higher than claiming at 62, and you claim that full 24% increase from 67. Again, this is assuming your full retirement age is 67. Technically, it can be a little bit earlier for others. You have the longevity protection, again, if you do have a high life expectancy. And this one, a lot of people forget about. If you do delay until 70, there is a tax planning window where sometimes people will plan for Roth conversions or RMDs. That window is available to you, whereas if you have taken that money earlier, like 62, this can affect things. Hey, real quick, if you're finding this video helpful, leave a like and let me know. It helps me out. Now, the drawbacks of claiming at age 70. The biggest one here, of course, is that there is 8 years, 62 to age 70, where you weren't receiving that. So there's extra expenses that need to be fulfilled by some other source of income, whether it is your actual retirement account or just work. Second from there is, of course, the mortality risk. If you wait until age 70 to claim, you claim your benefits, now you're getting this very high check, but you pass away at 73, there's no death benefit like there would be in some sort of modern annuity where, yes, you did delay, yes, you only got it for this long, but your heirs are still going to get all of that money that you didn't end up claiming and get, even though you paid into the system your entire life. That's not how this works. Yes, there is the survivor benefit, which would be increased for your spouse, but still, if they pass away, there's not another survivor benefit that's going to someone else. You simply didn't really come close to hitting the break-even age if you had taken it earlier. Next point here, and this is countering the very first point we made in terms of pros for 62, and that is the draining accounts risks. So yes, you would have had money that would have had to come from somewhere to fund from age 62 to 70, since you were delaying that out. But it also risks, again, draining those 401ks, draining the IRAs, and those are not growing because you were pulling from them. If this applies to you, if you were someone who had already retired, wasn't working, and were pulling from these accounts to fund your lifestyle, this could mean a much lower nest egg that you end up leaving behind and a much lower net worth overall. And finally, the psychological impact. Many retirees experience discomfort leaving money on the table after decades of contributing to the system, even when delaying is mathematically advantageous. If you're within 10 years of retirement in the US, subscribe. I make videos for you twice a week on how to do that peacefully. Bye-bye.